So, today on stage for the panel discussion, we have, firstly, Mr. Benjamin Moey, Vice President of Advanced Manufacturing ASEAN and Head of the Advanced Manufacturing Transformation Center at Siemens Private Limited. Secondly, Mr. Peter Ho, Founder and CEO of Hope Technik Private Limited. Thirdly, we have Dr. Gok Soon Joo, Chief Futurist, Chief Skills Officer, and Chief Research Officer at SkillsFuture SG, and the moderator of this panel, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, Prof. Aaron Thean. Now, I would like to pass over the time to Prof. Aaron Thean to start the panel.
Hi, yes. Welcome to this segment which is part of the Learning Festival, which is the panel discussion. Today, we're really honored to have, the three accomplished guests, two of whom are actually alumni of NUS Engineering. So maybe what we should do for the benefit of the folks that are calling in from overseas, we have a brief introduction of yourself and also maybe the company that you represent and what do you do. Maybe we can start with Dr. Gok.
Sure. Thank you, Aaron. Good morning, everybody. My name is Soon Joo. I just cut it short. I'm the Chief Skills Officer of SkillsFuture Singapore. SkillsFuture Singapore is a government agency under the Ministry of Education. So as a skills authority, we work with industries, partners to identify the emerging skills where the economy is required. The purpose is to help the industry to have enough adequate number of skilled workforce to support the businesses. At the same time, to help support individuals to have fulfill their career to the fullest potential. So we work very closely with university, polytechnic, IT to make sure that we have adequate courses to meet the needs of the economy. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Peter. I'm a co-founder and the CEO of Hope Technik. We are an engineering company, I'll say pretty hardcore. We do everything from design all the way to production. And the domains we are in is largely professional service robotics as well as special vehicles. We play across very different landscapes, so everything from fire trucks to indoor farming is something that we're involved in.
Hi, thanks Peter. My name is Benjamin. Hi, I'm from Siemens. I'm from the Digital Industries Division. I currently head the Advanced Manufacturing Transformation in Singapore with the goal of really driving the whole adoption of towards Industry 4 today. So happy to be here today to speak to you on what the future holds for most of you who are looking for jobs. So I'll give back to Prof. Aaron.
Yep. So just to close it by saying that I'm Dean of Engineering. So my job is, my team and I actually manage the operations and administration of education in NUS Engineering. So my personal wish for this panel would be to figure out how IHL can play a role in terms of skills for the future. So maybe let's start by framing the problem. I think as what Prof. Leong has said early on, that in the midst of COVID, which is a big impact to basically economy, jobs, and companies. And so today we're going to be talking about what those impacts mean, prognosticate what will actually happen going forward. I know that we're not out of the woods yet, so I think it's important for our audience to also think about what would basically further their skills and relevance for upcoming job market. So maybe we start with our skills futurist, Dr. Gok here. I think she has thought deeply about what's going to happen, and I know SSG is working hard to help the nation. I know that all around the world there are skills accelerators going on, and maybe she can tell us a little bit, this accelerated adoption of technology, what does it mean for a post-COVID job market?
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. I was hoping that you asked Benjamin and Peter first because they are the employer who create jobs and utilize skills. But okay, I will share some of our observation because we do have a team of job skills analysts and a team of job skills data scientists who are looking at big data from across the world and see what's happening. And to summarize, saying what's happening, maybe I can use one of the conversation I had with they call themselves historian of technology. There's a discipline of study called historian of technology, and they look back the history of mankind, and you will notice that actually all this while industry are moving and businesses are changing all the time. And with the injections of technology, things are moving faster. In fact, most of us today, I would say almost everybody in the world today, need to use some kind of technology, some kind of application through our work. Is it a mobile phone? Is it a laptop? Is it a machines? So the content of our work required to use more and more application is a given. So then we ask ourselves, is it just pure technology that we need to learn and therefore tech skills? No, the answer is not, because we don't work with machines. We work with human. So the hard skills to control, to command the machines is required. That I call it a hard skill. Then the soft skills is how do we work with people together? Because for projects to take place, for a successful product to be launched, we need many people to come together to co-create the product, marketing teams to communication teams to branding. So therefore we could require the hard and soft skills together. So that never changed. But I think one thing we need to bear in mind is our job content will keep changing, and that's a given. So I have this saying is, job will keep changing, the content will keep changing. Skills, on the other hand, is pretty steady. So if we can see that, then we're getting ready, get ourselves ready to learn the hard skills, because we need to command the machine, we need to control the machines and work with machine. At the same time, we need the softer skills to work with people. I think that is how historically these things have been going on the time. So not to be worried about, it's just having a mindset ready to utilize the skills and acquire a new skill set.
Understand. Yeah. So I know that there is always a question as what defines a hard skill and what defines a soft skill. Obviously, the hard skills are ones that require quite a bit of foundations to be built in mathematics, science, physics, and engineering skills. Soft skills typically refer, I guess, to communication, project management. Basically different types of thinking about how to work and interface. So, just the question to Peter and Benjamin. I think you guys are practitioners in the industry, and where do you see? We'll come back to the point about the soft versus hard, but for now, I think in terms of hiring engineers, you both run companies, and the question is, are you currently hiring more engineers and technical folks, people with hard skills?
Yeah, for sure, we're looking out for good engineers going forward. I think the market is quite competitive. I think everyone has a good degree or good masters to put. So it's really hard to differentiate the hard skills today. And I think what is important for me is the attitude and how they approach certain aspects of the work and how they work with people. In gone are the past where engineers work in silos, researchers work in silos. We want engineers who can work together to leverage off each other's skills and fill the gaps. So we're looking for people with soft skills, definitely, with the hard skills as the base. So that's definitely both needs to come together, and the soft skills actually differentiate whether you get the job or not, in my mind. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I echo the same thing, actually. I think talent shortage these days is very acute and very real, in the sense that the demands on engineering professionals, to me, has just increased year on year. The impatience for go-to-market, the demands of whoever your customer is, whether it's B2C or B2B, is there. The expectations are very high, and that translates down to what the teams need to deliver. So trying to find the right new teammates, if you ask me, is actually one of the biggest limitations to growth of any typical company these days.
I see. See, one of the questions that come up in terms of soft skills versus hard skills is, typically it's very difficult to determine if someone possesses good soft skills, right? Hard skills are well represented on your CV. So, even for me, when I interview people, it's always trying to get at, the soft qualities. What are they? Right? Are they good at communication, interpersonal skills? I mean, is there something that you see as important to build up? That something that you could reflect on your CV, something that you could practice and pick up as part of education?
That's $1 million question. If anybody can design apps to do that, will be good. But I like to answer the question this way: that we must be mindful that soft skills is not something that we can read and we can do on our own in a confined space. Soft skills need practice. And the best place to do so, to develop, actually is real workplaces. And because the real workplaces, we will interact with people, we will get that feedback on whether this soft skills is working,
Yes.
whether this person, the communication, whether is working, whether the collaboration is working well, whether the way we present a particular idea across the table to another colleagues, whether it's getting receive it well, or how do we repackage the messages. So I think every one of us has, including individuals or workplaces as a supervisor or peers, or institution like NUS, has the I would say that the responsibility upon ourselves to first be aware of what are the kind of soft skills is required. Okay, I can talk about the what are they later on. Then secondly is, how can we create opportunity to help individual, all of us as a team member, to develop and polish it further. I think that's fundamentally key, that I talk about the opportunity to practice and polish it. So, and this is ongoing. It never stops like, oh, I'm competent as a communicator. I think there will never be a day that I can say I'm extremely competent, because the context of talking to clients, to different team members who are not in your own area of training, how do you communicate the complex idea across so that you can sell to them? I think this did require constant practice. It can't be a certified competent. You leave the school, then you're certified competent. I think we just have to keep on learning. So I come back to how can we be aware of what kind of soft skills are required? Last year in August, SSG, SkillsFuture Singapore, launched a 16 critical core skill for future economy. So you can Google and you will find that the whole list is there. They are basically in 3 baskets. First basket, most important, is about self-efficacy. How much do we know about ourselves, our weaknesses, our strength? How constant are we mindful of what's happening around us, the kind of global mindset, and digital fluency, which is what the basic thing you need to know about the digital world. And then how do you constantly go about learning, the agility in learning. So that's the first basket, is self-efficacy. The second basket is about working with others. How do you work with others? How to influence people? The communication skill is getting more and more sophisticated. Not just about PowerPoint, it's face-to-face, but it's also online, it's about multi-channel. Yeah. Then the other thing about inclusivity has become a critical core skills today, because we need to know the world is very complex now. How can we think about inclusive mindset, about taking care of people who are not different from us? Gender equality can be people with disability, aged workforce, because of multi-generation working together, different culture. And one key thing I thought I picked up is, very important is, every one of us need to have the soft skill of helping another person to learn, be it our colleagues, our peer, our subordinate, and that developing others is a critical core skill. The third basket is about the cognitive ability, the thinking skills. Do we know how to think, which is a metacognition? We need to be mindful how we think. Are we thinking critically? Are we biased because of origin of study? Because these are things that we need to be mindful of before we even talk about things like creative thinking. Yep. I think that is the 3 baskets I suggest all of us just download and take a quick look at it.
Sure.
Thanks.
That's very, very useful. So the now flipping back to hard skill, right? With COVID, it has changed everything. One of the points that we made earlier on is the adoption of technology has accelerated. So, pre-COVID, we already saying that there is a trend that, the skills move towards, higher order type of skills, towards data science, data analytics, AI, and stuff like that. Do you guys see fundamental change with post-COVID in terms of the hard skill that will be needed going forward? Because just to preface it, I mean, if I look at the recent World Economic Forum jobs report for 2020, and then look at the top jobs, I mean, it looks like the top jobs, half of it's all technical based, and half of that is all data driven, cloud computing and everything, and data analytics. And then they're actually displacing jobs that are traditionally, more in the service sector. So, I mean, from your standpoint, whether it be SSG, from companies, do you see a fundamental shift happening right now?
Definitely. I think since COVID, the mindset has changed, and I think going towards the digital realm is key, is important. Is evolving a lot faster than it used to be. The hard skills that we have used to last a lot longer. Now it transforms every 2 years. Yeah. And I think for students to really keep up with it, or would be people to really keep up with the change, is getting extremely difficult. And to pick up the new skills is getting harder. But I think people need to adapt and be flexible and be open to take on more of this new knowledge for the new world. It's not going to be easy times, but I think what we've seen in the current episode of COVID is everyone is actually quite resilient. People are willing to change and come out of the comfort zone and try something new. Kudos to SkillsFuture for giving the opportunity for a lot of Singaporeans to have that opportunity to try something new and really get them going, I guess, for the next phase in technology.
Sure.
I feel that the hardcore basic principles and skills is something that we can never get away from. As much as new technology comes in, trends of data and all, putting demands on what we do, we can't run away, especially if you talk about engineering side, right? Or if you go to any profession, I believe we always must respect the profession first and foremost. The fundamental skills are there. New technology comes in, we've got data. As an engineer, my biggest worry is always rubbish in, rubbish out. And the only filter that you have in between is supposed to be in between the 2 years, right? And that can only happen if you actually understand your fundamentals. So, well, to everyone, I feel that the challenges just increase. We can't run away from the demands of yesterday, of the hardcore skills. Yeah. But at the same time, you never stop learning, right? Today, it's a new tool. The tool that we'll be using tomorrow has yet to be invented or written. Yeah. But sure enough, in 3 years, it will be on the JD, the job description, because you're going to need to be able to use it.
Yeah, I do agree with Benjamin and Peter that the foundations of discipline is very important, whether it's in math, science, or literature for that matter. At the end of the day, I do believe that the foundation of discipline do help an individual look at how they want to solve a problem. Especially engineers are trained to solve problems or create new solutions to solve a problem. But I don't think that we have to constantly retrain ourselves or even read wider than the original discipline, because other discipline will offer us another lens of reframing the problem. Sometimes that reframing a problem will create better solutions. And today the world requires us to have this broader mindset and broader reframing. It's just like farming today is no longer farmer. If you look at it, a lot of engineers are filling all the Singapore's agri-tech industry. You can hardly find a single farmer nowadays. You don't even need farmer. You are actually engineer controlling the temperature, controlling the output, looking at data, at the dashboard, and see is the yield getting there. So I thought it's very important to also cross-train in a transdisciplinary thinking later on, so that you can always have a fresh pair of eyes to look at the same issues.
Yep. I'd like to echo some of the points I brought up. I think this is very interesting because even as a university where we look at the problem, I think we look at our recent cohort that have graduated. It's very interesting to note that only 1/3 goes into traditional engineering. The other 2/3 go into either non-engineering or hybrid fields in infocom and data. So engineering as a discipline is actually very versatile. I think it gives that the main sort of foundations to build other skills on top, right? Now the point that actually Benjamin had just brought up earlier on about this fact that you have these teams that work together with different backgrounds, which is true. And I think right now in NUS we are rethinking the way we want to build engineering education, and we are actually anticipating and talking to industry folks to understand what are the types of engineers needed. So anything, of course the traditionalists would look at a specialist, someone who is deeply skilled and could be applied to a problem hit the ground running type of engineer. And then there are folks who are sort of, they actually manage bigger projects. And their skills are in, bringing together people and solving problems together. And so those are what we call the integrators. So we are in the process of thinking through and how to restructure our program to address that. Now, obviously, we have two programs. We have the pre-employment training, which is what some of you online are probably going through, thinking of going into, where you're going to be coming into a school environment and learning. And now, of course, we have continuing education for the folks who are already in a career and they want to upgrade their skills and stuff. So that's one of the reasons why we are rethinking the whole structure in the context of PET, pre-employment, as well as CET, post-employment, actually into employment, right? So I think one of the interesting point about soft skills, which is again a very hard thing to pin down, is that we now live in a world where we mostly interface through Zoom. Okay, it's a very two-dimensional. Okay, not taking into account that the dimension of time and emotion is really fairly two-dimensional, right? So it's actually very difficult to build good teams doing that unless you're already experienced, and that seems to indicate that we still need in-person training. Right? Any thoughts from you guys on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a pity during this COVID period. I think since last year I've been receiving interns from NUS, NTU, and it is a pity that I only talk to them on Zoom and Skype. That I can never even face to face have a cup of coffee. So I thought that during this period it is even important for us to put in efforts to connect.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my newly promoted team leader and say that spend time building trust. Don't just command staff to do things.
Yeah.
And how do you spend time building trust? Simple things like, hey, WhatsApp, your birthday, I WhatsApp you and say happy birthday. Simple things. And then when you can take time off and ask the person about how do you feel about these projects? It's not about, hey, when are you going to deliver this project back to me? How do you feel about this project? Do you have anything that you don't feel comfortable about this thing? So I think it's how do you engage, use technology, WhatsApp, whatever, use technology to build trust, and that one-to-one time, although you cannot replace the face-to-face, but the one-to-one time using a Skype or Zoom to give that full attention to their colleagues is very important. So I think that we can use technology to do that, and it's very important to me, building trust, having the individuals to come and share, and I have some brilliant NUS and NTU students who every day after one day of internship do a very short reflection, send an email back to us and say, hey, I have this today I engage this project, I just want to share with you, and engage in the further conversations through the online platform. I thought that's very humanistic approach that we need to do more. And it's soft skills.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any thoughts from?
Well, I think the difficulty in having a human touch, I think, is rubbing off on all of us. I think,
yes,
both with colleagues and customers and bosses as well.
Yes.
I think now it's Zoom most of the time for us, so it's a bit painful. I think.
Yeah.
Being Asian, I think culturally that interaction is important, that building of trust is important, and that seems to have evolved quite a bit.
Yep.
And I think now we're trying to see how the new technology can really get us to build that trust again. I think it's going to take a little bit of time getting used to.
Yep. Yeah, indeed. I think it's a luxury being able to sit here and talk to our guests here. Right? I mean, typically we look through the screen. I feel sorry for the folks who are seeing us through the screen. Like I said, I think we are very used to percepting much information through our interactions, right? Body language, and expressions and stuff. I think that's a lot missing. And indeed, you're right to point out that we first have to get used to the current technology. And hopefully, as we advance, the quality of the visuals, the sound will get better, and maybe we'll evolve. And I think this COVID basically highlighted the need for this. Now, besides this, I think there are other technologies on the horizon, or it's already emergent or even coming. and happening now, right? So 5G, AI, IoT, and all that stuff. I think the pre-COVID times, these were being looked at. Okay, they are coming in, but they don't take up a level of significance as now. Now we see examples. For instance, what Susanna has earlier pointed out is that the technology goes into making mass swaps and contact tracing. The data evolution continues to increase, right? So, in your view, I mean, from the standpoint of a university, IHL, standpoint of an engineering faculty, is there anything specific that you think that we can do to address these, to build the next generation of students that will be aware of this technology, for instance, from your standpoint? I mean, future.
Maybe we ask expert from Siemens and Hope first, then I can.
Yeah.
I think the internships during the course of the engineering degree is important.
Okay.
I think gone are the days where I go in and do some Excel spreadsheet and work. Now it's very different. I think that the students actually get embedded into the real world, and they get in touch with what is really the age of technology, at least from Siemens' perspective. They get in tune with what is new and what could be missing in the current syllabus.
I see.
Being in touch with the industry is very important.
Yeah.
And having this exposure to social exchanges with technology and human beings in the real market is actually important for students as they build. So I think that's crucial in order to also develop the students as they go along and not come out and then find a job.
I see. That's interesting. I mean, let's hold a thought for a moment, right? That the students come in, they go through an internship and they learn. How much expectation you have in terms of students coming in with skills, and how much you impart to them during the internship? Any way to qualitatively?
I'm quite demanding, so.
Yeah. Yes.
So I bring students with at least a certain base understanding, with certain skill sets that they have at least touched upon that can help my work, my team as a whole. But most importantly, from an internship perspective, I look at attitude, willingness to learn, willingness to put in the effort and find out more. So I think that at the internship level, we are a little bit more forgiving in that sense. But we have the responsibility of really driving them to the next level, because they could come back and they could support you as you go on. I think one interesting thing that at least from the German system perspective, they have the apprenticeship that really drives them from 16 years old all the way up through the company, and some of them are lifers. That's a system that has been quite effective in Germany, and the guys that really come out are really in tune with the latest technology, and what they're learning at school builds upon what they're going to apply in their future jobs at Siemens.
I see. How about Hope Technik?
Completely agree, Benjamin. I think, especially studying in IHL, getting your degree and all, I think the mindset has to really be getting yourself job ready, to be ready to contribute when you are employed. And there is no magic that happens when you have the mortarboard on your head and you get that certificate and suddenly, pow, you're ready to join the workforce and make money for the company or deliver stuff, right? So I think the demands really is in the last few years of formal study, right? Internships are very important. If you ask me, I completely echo what you said. It reflects, it gives you a lot of exposure of what is missing, the soft skills, the reality of everything. I think good projects are necessary. Results are one thing. On our side, we are also very demanding. And we really look at how ready a person is to join. And whatever you read on the books, if you can't apply it, sadly, in industry, in engineering, we have to hit the ground running. So I think getting yourself industry ready is very, very important. There is no transformation that's just going to be overnight.
I thought, yes, definitely Benjamin and Peter as leaders of the industry say it all. I would have two advice. One advice for university and one advice for the students or the people, incumbents in the workforce. For the university is, I know that internship, the 4 years of education and the internship is key, But I would also want to suggest to look into, as Singapore talk about the work-study model.
Yep.
I think we seriously need to study the work-study model to ask ourselves is which part of the learning are best learned in the institutions, which part of the learning are best learned at workplaces.
Yep.
And then can we strike a balance that within the 4 years, do we really want to spend 4 years within institution and only small, like 3 weeks, 12 weeks in internship out? I think that may be shortchanging ourselves. Can we rethink the model that student has spent good sufficient time at the workplaces and doing real projects, learning soft skills, latest technology? Because I think the technology is innovating and changing fastest in the workplace, not so much in the institutions. So I thought the advice to the IHL is to rethink the way we structure the courses, whether it can do more work study. Then for the students in NUS or in the market graduates, I would say that we can learn something from the design industry. Design industry students are required to have portfolios show real. Because you don't need to show a cert. Nobody care about your cert. When the audition come, if you cannot perform, cannot sing, you're dead. You just get out. Same thing if you are designing a graphic, designing a special effect, you must have show real.
Yes.
So I think same thing for engineering student is do projects that matters, that you can show, that and please take time to go and join hackathon. Doesn't matter if you cannot code. You're forced to learn how to code. No, seriously. So you're forced to learn. So be interested about things happening. Join hackathon. Do project that matters, and prepare your own portfolio. Have a show reel.
Yeah.
Don't expect your grade. Nobody care you got a GPA, full GPA score, full mark. Nobody care. But what have you done? I think that is important. My message to the undergrads and the graduates. Thanks.
Sunju, excellent point. I think project-based learning is very important, and in fact, that's a fundamental part of engineering education. I think I like your idea of creating a portfolio. I think that would be nice, where we can show off all the projects we did. Right? I still remember, following what Peter said, is that when I put on my motherboard and received my diploma, I thought I knew everything. What a surprise when I went out and got my first job, right? Then you actually realize and get humbled by the fact that once you're put on the ground to solve a problem, then everything comes back. What you know, and then so much more you have to go acquire. I think the thing that you learn through projects and learning in teams and coming to a physical school and learning, actually, those are the things that gives you that confidence, because you start feeling comfortable working in a team before, and those things come back. I mean, all the exams that you passed before, they all don't matter anymore, right? They fall away. In fact, 5 years into your job, you probably think that you have forgotten everything. It goes into the subconscious. I think this is the amazing stuff. I think that's why I think there's still a place for physical-based education on top of online learning. So a few other thoughts that came to mind is, in terms of acquiring skills. There's definitely now online training versus physical experience. Okay. I know that you're probably not even experiencing the first batch of students that are coming into the company, into the agencies to work yet, or coming out. But the students that are currently going through this process will eventually graduate and come to you guys, right? I know that you made a point, Sunju, about the fact that you need to continue to connect, build up that interpersonal relationship and skills. Is there any advice for the students who are currently going through this process? Any special thing that you want them to watch for, based on what you've seen before, graduates before them, who did not go through this experience? Yeah.
I would say that must stay curious. Very, very curious about what's happening, because when you're curious, you find opportunity. That's number one. So don't get too busy with study. Be capable and curious around. Because when you're curious around, you see that, hey, these are the issues that I can solve. Then can I use my engineering knowledge or whatever gain knowledge to learn? And recently I was talking to my son, he's in comp sci and one in data science. And they want to create an app because they say as a student, they're very frustrated. Where are the good places, free places that can study, good aircon, cheap food? So they want to create an app to curate this kind of content so that they can share with all the population, kids in Singapore. I think that's a good idea. So to me, there are many problems to be solved. Just stay curious, watch around, and try to solve the problem, big or small. So that is important. Stay curious, and it is okay you don't know that. Don't say, well, how come NUS never teach me? Because you can learn on your own, basically. Today there are many things, many places, content are all free. You go to GitHub, there are free kind of codes that people share. You can just plug and play. You don't have to develop codes from scratch. So there's things that you can do a lot of time. So I think get this kind of, step into it, be curious, try to solve some problem, create portfolio for yourself, and then I think you'll be employable.
I think work and studies used to be very institutionalized. We had to go to a physical place and do it, right? And you got to see your boss's face at 8:30 in the morning, right? In this new era that we will be going into, work from home, work from wherever home's supposed to be, or whatever you define it to be, is going to be real. And one very important thing that's going to be needed from everyone is to be a self-starter. The amount of discipline that you need to have, because we are at this very unusual stage where much of our lives we have followed the institutional route because that's the habit. And suddenly now we have newfound freedoms. And if we lose ourselves and don't have the ability to self-start in the morning and be responsible to ourselves and to the companies and to the people around us, it's very dangerous. So I think this mental health challenge should not be underestimated. I think we should all reflect internally and there is going to be a move that we need to do. It's almost to the level that you need to have your own timetable at home, to have some form of structure, because that change is a little bit too much of a waterfall at the moment. So discipline.
For sure, the self-motivation is important. I want to touch upon Go's point on learning. So I spoke to my son as well. He's not that old. He's about 9, and I was saying school teaches you how to learn the alphabets, teaches you how to form words with the alphabets, teach you how to form sentences. But it's up to you to create the story yourself. So what the university helps you to do is give you that foundation, but you need to be able to apply it well in order to create that story, your own unique story, and no one else can help you. So you need to be self-motivated, knowing what you want. And I think in the digital world, it's so much easier to create a product today. If you know where to look, you know where to search for solutions, you can build it. Skills, especially in digital world, is so easy to pick up. And the market is quite huge now. I think we are pretty much a global platform now. You can pitch for jobs in Russia and do the work in Singapore. So you will be employable if you choose to be. And identifying that sweet spot that you want to write that story for yourself is important. For me, it took me some time to really figure out what I really wanted to do. But it took the time for me to really upskill myself during the process after I graduated, to fill in that gap. So it will have to be a continuous learning process until you come out with that perfect book that tells your story. And it's only up to you, and it's your application, how you apply the skills that will really set you up for the future.
Okay, good.
Aaron, I want to add on to what Benjamin said,
Sure.
is that my another advice to undergrads and people in the workforce is try to cultivate more than one identity. Because sometimes when we see, when I encounter people who get retrenched from jobs, they suddenly lose that single identity that they no longer know who they are. And we must all know that life will be ups and downs. Whether you are voluntary, retrenched, get out of job, go on sabbatical, or want to start a new business, or retrench, this will happen. So I think we must cultivate multiple identities. You must have hobby. Be a serious gamer, doesn't matter. Serious. or start something that is on a social cause, going to help somebody. So that, or even a hobby or painting or music, go and jam in a band. I think we need that multiple identity to balance our life. so that when anything happens, you can even you want to have a handshake and say, I'm no longer an MD in a company, but I play in a rock band. At least you know how to say about yourself. I think that is very important to have that balance and multiple identity.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the that, because sometimes those identities define us, right? So having multiple ones, sometimes you can fall back on different things when you find difficulty in one versus the other. So talk about talk about this retrenchment, and so that brings us to the point about lifelong learning, right? I mean, I'm going to put the folks from companies on the spot, right? How will you encourage your employees who are already in a career right now to retool and look at new things? How do you encourage it? Because obviously any kind of redefinition of work and roles is disruptive to the company. But at the same time, you want the employees to be, like I said, they gain other identities so that they themselves become marketable. How do you encourage them to do that?
Well, from my side, because we are engineers, right?
Yeah.
The annual appraisal for every single teammate, it's actually one of the scored items of continuous improvement. There are training budgets to everything. Right. There are ways to track the skills that each individual in the company has. And if they don't move up, that's a bad thing. So we take it really, really seriously because it's not an option. It's not a luxury to train yourself more or expose yourself more. It's a requirement. And that, I think, is very serious as a need to do it.
I understand.
For sure, I agree with Peter. I think from the management perspective, I think having the employees grow is important to have more diverse skills. But also for the employees themselves, I think it's a carrot for them. That you encourage them to step out of their comfort zone, learn something new. Not everyone goes into a job saying, this is my dream job. It's always an element of, I don't really fit in, I need to evolve a little bit. And you're also helping them on your career, on what might be better suited for you, and you hone that skills. So I think it works both ways. From a management perspective, you want them to grow and then be more competent and feel more attached to the company. At the same time, the employees will feel that, okay, I'm having a mentor, a superior who can help me drive the need to upskill constantly.
So I think we are actually coming quite close to the end of the program, and before we step off the stage, I'd like to thank our guest here, and I hope let's have each of us have a closing remark, an advice for our audience. So let's start with myself. Like I said, I would say this is definitely a difficult period for learners. The learning journey we all recognize is a lifelong process. For the folks who are still going or thinking of entering into the universities to get an education, it's still very valuable to have physical, but now we blend it with online learning. But it's just a starting point, and we encourage people to start from there and then go on to continue learning. You definitely, NUS will provide a fantastic environment for you to do that. So thank you, and stay safe, stay strong.
Okay, my message, I'll lift something from the book called 100-Year Life. I don't know whether to read the book. I think you should go and read the book because I make it mandatory reading for my sons. Basically, it's this. A lot of us will live to 100 and beyond. Likely, scientific science advances and all that, will live to 100. And we need to spend time and resources investing in ourselves in terms of productive tools, which is about skills, reskilling, knowledge. And today, the access to learning is almost given to everybody. If you have an internet, you log online, you subscribe to some kind of newsletter from reliable sources that you want to read, be it engineering or anything of interest, you will get that feed on a daily basis. And reading this informal learning, I thought we definitely should do it for ourselves. Of course, then from time to time, we need to dock back for formal learning, which is what is NUS can do for us, from courses, what is 5G, what is AI, what is IoT. I think that kind of formal learning to acquire the critical skills is needed in order for us to do so. So that kind of investing in ourselves, because it's very easy to plan financially, how much money I will save, buy a house, buy a car. But I think you need to really allocate time to plan for ourselves. Because if we don't plan ourselves, nobody will ever plan for us. So that productive tools that we need to invest in ourselves is very key. So please do that. Thanks. A message from SkillsFuture.
I think crisis in a different form happens to everyone in their lives. We all can't run away from it. We are living through a very unusual time, a crisis of a generation. We should not waste this crisis. Keep smiling, push through, and come out better. It will happen.
Every crisis provides opportunities, new opportunities. And then one advice I will give to the students or graduating students is resilience. Be open. It's not the end of the world. There are always opportunities out there. If you stop trying, you have given up. So don't stop trying. Be open to opportunities. Take what comes and then evolve from there. That will only put you in a better position going forward.
Thank you so much. So I guess this is then our program. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.